inattentive to sex. We have excessive sexual appetites. We can't live without us. And we force our mate and we become domineering. And the danger with that is that we become prisoners of our sexuality. Okay. What we must begin to do in our relationships is to reach out and touch one another where we really need to be touched, which means becoming sensitive to one another's needs versus disregarding them and stomping all over one another's feelings. If you look under God's provision for needs on page 7, Common Welfare, it says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. Encourage the young women to love their husbands, being subject to their own husbands. Let the husband fulfill his duty to his wife, and likewise also the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body. The husband does not have authority over his own body. Stop depriving one another. Then Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 28 says, So husbands ought also to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his own wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ also does the church. We all want to be nourished and cherished. Well, how do we do that? We begin to think about our mate as a part of our own body. You don't abuse your body, or, well, some of us do, and we have to stop abusing our bodies. What are some of the ways that we abuse our bodies? Well, one of the ways that we abuse our own bodies is by denying our feelings. We know we are hurting, but when our mate asks us, we say, there's nothing wrong. You know you're hurt because of something they said or they did or that they failed to do. Okay. When we deny one another sexually, it not only affects one of us, but it affects both of us. It's like my husband. If he slaps me in the eye, I might be the one he hits, but he will be the one who bleeds, if you understand what I'm saying. You cannot hurt me, or you can hurt me if you want to, but you will be the one who bleeds, and we will both end up bleeding to death. All right, and the last point is, your body no longer belongs to you. It is not only, the verse that talks about your body no longer belonging to you, your body belonging to your husband or to your wife, is not only an issue of due benevolence, okay? Your body is mine. My husband's body is mine. My body is his. All right, and sometimes we have the attitude of, well, your body is mine. I can do with you, with your body, what I want to do, when I want to do it, however I want to do it. Okay, but it's an issue of your body is mine. I care about my body, therefore I'm going to care for yours. If we give, we will receive. If I meet your needs, my needs will be met. If you meet my needs, your needs will be met. So we must begin to touch our mates as the whole persons that they are, and not just touching those parts which are most comfortable for us. Now let's look at the pages of application that we have in your manual there. On page 3, under personal assessment, can you have a list there of negative rules and negative messages, and what you need to do to begin to touch one another where we really need to be touched, or in all the areas in which we need to be touched, is to go through these lists and discuss how these negative rules and negative messages have affected you. All right? For example, okay. For example, always be in control is one of the ones under negative rule. A lot of us are very high control people. We got any high control people here? No, I know. Thank you. Thank you. I know I'm not the only one. All right, mates, is your husband or wife high control? Always feel as though they have to be in control. Okay. Well, how is that? Okay, or why is that? Or you want to talk about that. And very often when we, you can either go back to, it's rooted in how we were reared. Okay, we didn't have this sense of being able to control our own lives. Someone else was always telling us what to do. And we resented that. And so, at least in part, this is part of the reason why we're like this, okay? But we just have this need to be in control. And so that causes, that puts stress on our relationships very often. Now some of y'all are not honest, okay? Because I know there's more than 3 people in this room who are high control. At least half of us are, okay? All right, now in our relationship, in my relationship, both my husband and I are very high control people, all right? And we go at it. All right, so, you don't want to look at your mate and say, you got a problem. Why we always got to do things your way? Okay. All right, but when we begin to talk about that, we want to begin to understand, why we do things the way that we do. Okay? Let's look at another one. Under negative messages. You're so stupid. All right, you understand that one, right? You understand why that might cause a problem? Are you all not awake yet? Okay. All right, so you just want to begin to talk about that and to dialogue and to discuss that. Okay, let's look under conditions on page 4. You want to list 25 expectations which you have of your mates. Which ones are negotiable and which ones are unrealistic. One that might be negotiable, I'll give you an example. In our relationship, I was reared in a family where my father came home for dinner every night. 4 o'clock, he left in the morning at 7 o'clock. He came home at 4 in the evening every single night. We sat down at the table to eat dinner at 4:30, and that was it. All right? Now, when I got married, that's what I expected to happen. My husband is in ministry. All right? And from the very beginning, he had never been home for dinner at 4:30. Okay? In fact, he's rarely at home for dinner at all. Okay. But you see, that caused problems early on in our relationship because that's all I knew and that's what I expected. And I was angry every single night. All right? But that was negotiable. All right? That doesn't have to break up your marriage. That's a negotiable expectation. All right? Which ones are unrealistic? All right, now, my husband likes to be kissed. Now, some of us, some of y'all might think I'm really neurotic or psychotic, okay? All right? Now, I have this thing for germs, okay? I am a compulsive hand washer, all right? Anybody, you know what I'm talking about? Thank you. Y'all woke up, okay? You can feel dirt on your hands, right? You just gotta wash your hands, all right? I have this thing for germs, okay? Now, I don't eat pork. I stopped eating pork several years ago. And you all, if you should do the same. But my husband likes to be kissed, right? And he likes those kind of kisses where you swap spit, okay? And I wasn't into that, okay? And so I told him, I said, now, if you stop eating pork, I'll give you one of those kind of kisses. All right, that's an unrealistic expectation, isn't it? Would you agree? Is that a little unrealistic? Okay. Especially for him, because he had to choose. It's either going to be pork or it's going to be me. He chose pork. All right, page 5, personal assessment. Company companionship. What kind of company do you provide for your husband or wife? Okay, so you want to look at those. One who is a perfectionist. All right, you know when you realize that, you sit down and you talk about. I mean, perfectionist people, again, things have to be done right. Thank you, right? You know what I'm talking about? There's a right way to do things, isn't there? And why can't everybody else know how to do things right? Okay? There's a right way to wash dishes. There's a right way to fold socks, okay? Okay? There's a right way to hang the toilet paper, right? And then everybody in my house hangs it the wrong way. So every time I go in there, I have to take it off before I can use it and turn it around and put it on there the right way. Okay? Perfectionist. I call myself a perfectionist anonymous. Okay? As I began to realize I'm not perfect. I'll never be perfect in this life. And I was really killing myself trying to be a perfectionist. Not even, not consciously. But that's where we are. So you want to talk about those things. And don't let it break up your marriage, all right? And again, there are some negotiables. We don't, perfectionists, know how to do everything right. And even if we did, we could never do everything right, okay? And we give our mates fits. All right. When they could never meet up to our standard, our expectations, okay? And I know y'all know what it does when you go to express yourselves sexually, the physical act, right? If they don't do it right, you're in trouble. All right? We won't do it again until you get it right. All right. And then finally on page 8, under personal assessment, you want to begin to acknowledge your personal needs and discuss it with your mate. Who can best meet those needs? How you seek to tell your mate how you seek to meet their needs after they list them. And then you want to express to your mate how you want them to meet your needs. Example of spiritual needs. Our mates need to be prayed for. And it's not like saying, look, I'm praying for you, brother. I'm praying for you that you do right. Submit under the hand of Almighty God. No, you want to pray for them so that they know that you are supporting them and that they have God's love and His knowledge and wisdom at their disposal and so on and so forth. Spiritually, we need mercy. Okay? Spiritually, we need leadership. Those are some examples. Emotionally, of course, we need love. We need to be accepted. We need to feel significance. All right? You want to talk about that. And then physically, of course, again, we need to be touched. We need to be kissed with those spit-swapping kisses. All right? We need to be fed and so on and so forth. All right? That concludes this presentation. I hope it's been meaningful to you. And as you leave here, I pray that you will leave here with eyes to see, ears that have heard, hearts that believe, going forth to do God's will. Thank you for listening.